welcome back to our channel. We have been MIA recently, and if you didn't know, we had our baby daughter a few months ago, and we took some time off to bond with her and bond with each other as a family. However, we are back and we wanted to film this video for you. Our most asked question is, how did delivery go? So we thought we'd put it in a video. In what we are now calling... We are starting a new series on our channel, and this is what it's going to be. We had this plan of just doing it at home
having a nice background
and doing it all professional-like. However, real life, again.
Real life kicked in, and guess what? The only time to do it is in the car driving, really. And also the other thing is we're not home. We're
traveling.
Yeah, we're out of state on a project for the next 2 months. So guess what?
This is what you get.
This is how it's coming.
So, here's our birth story. Okay, so our due date was April 12th.
Yeah.
We were convinced, number one, that we were having a boy. Number two, we were convinced that the baby was going to come early. And so when the baby didn't come early, we're like, well, the baby might come late. So... we weren't expecting to, I was not expecting to go into labor
on due date.
On my actual due date.
We went to the beach the day before.
We went to the beach, we had a little baby moon.
Yeah.
I was huge.
Maybe we'll put a picture up, maybe not.
We'll see.
That's going to be up to the boss.
The next morning at 1:30 in the morning on April 12th, I woke up with this different kind of pain. I had been having Braxton Hicks for weeks at that point, so it wasn't uncommon for me to have a small contraction. So when I woke up to that very sharp pain, I was like, this feels different. So I went back to sleep. 45 minutes later, I wake up to the same kind of pain, just a little stronger.
I can't believe you remember the timing so well. I don't remember that.
I am great with remembering everything.
I know you are. That's why I can't say anything.
Don't do nothing that you don't want me to remember, because I'm going to remember that shit.
It's true.
So then around 4:30, I have to get out of bed because now they're kind of coming a little stronger, and I didn't want to wake him up, and I also didn't want to worry him. However, at 4:30 when I get up, he gets up and he said, "What's wrong?" And I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm just going to go out into the living room, having a little pain. Are you in labor?
I like my voice.
I'm probably most likely in labor. But again, I've never been in labor. This is my first baby. So I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know what I was going to feel. So.
I don't know.
Oh.
She's just listening.
I didn't know how I was going to feel. So... I mean, I was pretty sure that I was in labor, but I couldn't tell you 100% because I had no idea what to expect. So 6:30, he's already out of bed and dressed, by the way. Jeans, t-shirt, hat. He's like, got it. He's like, all right, I'm ready. And I said, no. I mean, let's wait a minute because I don't want to rush to the hospital, because they tell you when you first have your baby, your first baby is going to take so long, and you're not going to have a baby in 5 hours. And my fear was that I didn't want to get to the hospital, get checked, and then them tell me that I need to go home. Because I was in pain. And I didn't want to have to drive all the way there, and then drive all the way back. And then what if when I got back, then they were even stronger, and then I had to go back to it. It was just, that's not what I wanted. So we waited till around 2 o'clock to then go to the hospital. And finally around 2, I was like, yeah, I think maybe we should go.
Okay, so we're at the hospital now.
Yes, we're at the hospital.
They admit us.
They don't admit us yet.
I mean, they admit us to the
ER.
Yeah.
And they're monitoring. They check me. At this point, I'm only 3 centimeters. But they say they don't typically admit anybody unless you're at least 4 or 5 centimeters. But my contractions were so strong and so close together, they had me hooked up to a monitor and everything, that they decided that they were going to admit me. Okay, so we've parked.
Suddenly we have smoothies. It's like, bling.
We have smoothies because the baby's asleep and I don't want to wake her.
Right.
Because, you know never to wake up sleeping baby. So, we get admitted. Now, they didn't have transportation. This was my favorite part. Not my favorite
This
part.
was my favorite.
This was a funny part. They didn't
we don't have transportation to take you upstairs.
They didn't have transportation available, and they asked if I could walk. Right? Or did I say I could walk?
No. You said, I can walk. And they were like, really? So we walked upstairs.
So
took the elevator.
Took the
went
employee elevator.
Yeah.
Went upstairs.
Oh, I gotta call through. Okay.
So we walked to our room. Nice room.
Yeah, and then the fun really began. Now let us tell you about our birthing plan. For anybody that doesn't know, a birthing plan are the things that you take the time to write down to make sure the hospital is aware of how you would like to give birth. This is a well-detailed, thought-out plan telling the hospital, telling yourself, telling the universe, this is how I'd like to birth my baby. We had a pretty good one of those.
It was typed out and everything.
It was strong. And a lot of it was, I would prefer not to have this, or
right.
I prefer this. You don't want to say, like,
a tip.
I'm not going to do this. That is a tip.
That's a tip.
Tip number one.
Tip number one. If you are going to take the time to drop a birth plan, I would suggest to use words like, I prefer to, preferably, because, number one, it's just going to piss off your nurses. When
if you're like, I won't do it this way, or I will only do it this way.
Because really, things don't happen the way that you plan them out to in life, especially during labor.
So let's go over what our birthing plan was. We went a natural delivery. That was key. Natural delivery. No epidurals, no medications except minor pain medications if you needed it.
If I needed it, and I also said, I will ask for pain medication, because when you are in labor and in pain and someone offers you a drug, you're probably going to take it, and you're going to negate everything that you wrote in your birth plan. And some women really want to stick to their birth plan as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's what I think we did, and I was there to help you to say if you didn't want medicine.
Right, but I made it specifically known that I didn't want to be asked for pain medication. I wanted to be able to ask for pain medication because I didn't want them to say, "Do you want something?" and be like, "Yes, just take it away." Then actual labor started. Like real labor. Like I wasn't able to bathe anymore. Then I started to get nauseous. Remember? Mm-hmm. At one point I was
That's because they kept giving you shitty Jello, and all you ate was Jello.
No, that was before. That was when I actually started to get nauseous. And then they're like, maybe it's because you haven't eaten. Do you want something to eat?
You're not allowed to eat.
You're not allowed to eat, just in case. Okay, so they said maybe it's because you haven't eaten. Do you want a popsicle or something? And then they offered me Jello, and I like Jello. So they gave me Jello. I was already nauseous. I hadn't had sugar in so long, and the Jello that they gave me was obviously not sugar free. Is that Tina Turner? As soon as I had it, I threw it up immediately. So then then they gave me more Jello. I had Jello twice, and I threw up twice.
And then the pain started coming.
And then the pain started.
Not bad, but
Don't tell people how I was.
You were in her pain.
I was in pain.
Real. I thought this was about real life.
That's true.
Thank you.
Oh, I had back labor. I didn't have regular labor. I had back labor. And if anybody knows what back labor is, you know what's up. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, how about for those of us that don't know back labor?
I'm going to tell you. It felt like there was a bowling ball going to come out of my anus with each contraction. Like my butthole was going to expand to the size of it. Did they just grab his balls?
I think so. I think that man just walked by and grabbed it. But secondly, I was just about to say, why do women do this? Rarely do you hear people say, it felt amazing. Yeah. Really, what a great feeling I had.
Well, you forget about the pain.
I know you do,
what they say.
Man, as we talk about it again, really, I felt like a bowling ball was going to come out of my anus. I'm good then. I don't need to partake in anything willfully that will make me feel like a bowling ball is going to come out of my butt.
It was bad.
Now we're there. Right. Bowling ball is about to come out of your anus.
Yeah.
This was nighttime now.
Are you talking about when the people came in?
No, I'm talking about then that's when you asked for a little bit of pain meds. And that was like an intravenous injected kind of...
But that was 36 hours later.
It wasn't. No. That was...
32 hours later.
Nope, that was probably about the 28-hour mark. Listen, no one's taken anything away from you because 28 hours of labor, that's a significant,
Unmedicated.
yes.
Let me tell you something.
So it was about 28 hours, and I remember this because I was not in pain.
All right. Okay.
It was at night. It was at night because you couldn't sleep. And so they gave you the
and
intravenous.
I hadn't slept, by the way, since I woke up
the night before.
That's
what I'm saying.
So now we're on...
It was about 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Right, on April 13th.
Right, which would be about 27, 28 hours.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter the number.
No, but...
So you took an intravenous. It was kind of like a Advil, ibuprofen, whatever they give you.
Yeah, it was just something to take the edge off. I still felt the pain.
And it helped because then you went to sleep.
Right. However, as soon as I got it, my friend, my nurse, looked a little concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And then started moving around the monitors. And she was hovering over me because she was fixing things. And this medicine made me super loopy. Like, I felt drunk.
Yeah.
So I was like, as soon as it hit me, I was like, this is some nice stuff. Why haven't I been getting this the whole time? But then I saw her face, and I remember poking her as she was over me. And she looked at me, and I was like, what's up? What's going on? And she's like, your baby's heart rate's dropping. She kept it real. And I was like, that's not good. And she said, no. So then people started to come in.
It was a little
Things
scary.
were beeping.
They
They were moving me around.
But they got
the baby's heart rate back up.
Yep.
Everything was fine.
So now we flash forward a few hours later. The labor's still going. There's a lot of pain. Now we're probably at the 36-hour mark. We decided that after this long, for you to have the energy, we're going to do a walking epidural.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, again, remember, birth plan. Starting to knock some things off the birth plan that we wanted. But guess what? We got to get this baby out. So we give the walking epidural.
Which is obviously, it's exactly what it sounds like.
And you still hadn't dilated past 5 centimeters.
Right. So
right
now I'm at 5 centimeters.
And you have to be at what?
10.
You have to be at 10. So I know that, but I'm just saying to let people know what you need to be, that you may not know what the hell is going on.
So still at 36 hours, for 36-hour labor, I'm still at 5 centimeters.
Yeah, so walking epidural because there's a lot of pain. They also hoped that would help you start to dilate more because, you weren't so wound up.
And they were coming, the contractions were like really close together.
So walking epidural helped a little bit, but not much.
Mm-hmm.
Several hours later, we decide to do the full epidural.
Right.
This was at about the 41-hour mark.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's a full work week, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, for most people, 40 some hours, that's... And then...
The shit hits the fan.
Shit hits the fan. Baby does not like full epidural. Baby does not like what's going on.
Baby's heart rate is now dropping severely.
Rapidly. And a mass amount of human beings then
like
flood
the cavalry
into
comes in.
This hospital room. And I'm going to tell you something. Now, her parents were there, and we had talked to them at one point, but...
They weren't in the room.
Not at this point. They were outside. Anyway. But I think they knew that this had happened. Something came on because they were still outside the room.
Mm.
So now people come in.
Hold on. They broke my water.
Oh, yeah. That was way before the
way
epidural.
Before the epidural. I had my water broken because my water still hadn't
hadn't dilated to where she needed to
Still hadn't dilated. Water not broken. They broke my water. But now they have to replenish my water, right?
Yeah, so they
have to... They put a tube inside of me to replenish my fluids that they broke. And they have an internal monitor to monitor the baby because of the heart rate dropping.
And that was before the full epidural,
that was before the full epidural.
I know, this is going to jump around. Sorry. We're telling you the birth plan. Guess what you can do? You can stop the video. You can fast forward if you don't want to hear it all. But guess what? There's a lot of good stuff. So let's go to full epidural comes in. People flood in. And this is the first time I'm actually scared because that's when you hear that your baby's heart rate had dropped and then a huge amount of people come in, I kind of stood back in the corner and watched. Then they took my wife. They flipped her over to all fours.
Head
and
under
the bed, here's her head. The bed had to go like this. And they're trying to reposition her, but it was...
And trying to reposition the monitor from,
It was frightening.
I was face down, ass up, if you will.
And they finally, after 9.5 or 10 minutes, that's a long time. That's what I'm going to tell you. As a man, you can't do anything about it. You're watching both your wife and your baby and you don't know what's going on. That's scary. But after 10 minutes, they got that baby's heart rate back up. Crystal lays back down. Then the doctor comes to us and the doctor says, guys, here's my recommendation. No, this is not what you want. Now this was the number one thing on our birthing plan that we did not want.
I wanted to avoid a C-section at all costs.
We think you need to have a C-section for the health of your baby. We said we need about 10 minutes to talk. And then we sat there and we cried and we looked at each other.
We did.
And we had to let it all go.
I'm gonna cry now.
Don't cry. You can if you need to. We have to let it all go and we have to understand that maybe what this little person was here to teach us is that you can have all the best laid out plans in the world, but if you don't learn to bend and sway and go with the flow, you're going to break. And we realized that what mattered most was your health and the health of the baby. And if that was the way to make sure the baby came out, then that's what we had to do. So we cried for a while and then we said, okay, let's do it. And then once we made the decision to do it, we felt better about it. But it was really like,
and then we called my parents in.
We told them.
And we told them what was going on.
But it happened fast and furious after that. Because then all of a sudden we were in the operating room.
Then everybody started coming in. They had to make sure my epidural's fine.
Oh, yeah.
They had to make sure that
I mean, this amazing nurse.
I loved her, Denise. Can I say her name?
Well, how about D? Lady D.
Lady D. She was awesome.
Oh, my God.
Then they came in and then they had to wipe me down because I was going into surgery. So they had to strip my clothes and they had to wipe me down with iodine or something. I don't remember what it was. And then they rushed me kind of into... And then I don't really remember.
I do.
A lot. I know you do.
So now I'll talk about this.
Well, hold on. When they laid me down, when we get into in surgery and they laid me down, I was kind of at an angle, I felt like.
Head down just a little bit.
Yeah. And I tried to swallow and I couldn't. And I thought, if I focus on the fact that I cannot swallow right now, I'm going to have a panic attack because now I can't feel my body.
So we should talk about what else helped you. Because a lot of people don't know about this and they think it might be hippie shit. But
that's true.
It works.
So tip number 2, we did something called hypnobirth.
What is hypnobirth?
It is a type of meditation that will help you through labor. And some people call it the modern Lamaze.
So hypnobirth is basically where they train you to basically talk yourself down and hypnotize yourself. And you go through several
Now hypnotize
weeks.
As in just go into a meditative state.
Yeah. It's not like you're a chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that kind of It's just being able to take yourself down at these points of major stress to, get into a place of zen or whatever you want to call it.
Right. So I decided that this was going to be the time that I really needed to use it because I was about to have a panic attack. Because now I can't feel my body. Now I can't swallow. And then I felt like I was going to stop breathing. So.
And did it work?
Absolutely. I talked myself down. I counted myself down.
Yeah, because they give you techniques to how to
kind of get into that state.
Down into that state.
So I heard what was happening, but I was not talking. I was able to come out to talk to my husband and talk to the nurse, anesthetist, that lady.
Lady D.
But then I went right back down. I remember coming up when the baby was out and I heard the baby's first cry and it made me smile. I waited long enough for him to tell me because also, again, we didn't know the gender of our baby.
So that was the one thing on the birthing plan we said, nobody better say what this baby is. I want to see the baby and I want to tell her. And so they stuck to that. So we go into the C-section. Now C-sections, it's a pretty cold process. There's literally a sheet and then my wife's face. I don't see anything else. And they're tugging and pulling and blah, blah, blah. And then the next thing I know, they say, Daddy, do you want to come over and look at your baby? And I said, yeah, I do. And I looked over. And at first I went, what? Because we were convinced we were having a boy. Well, guess what? There's no penis. And I had to look a couple times. No, that's a girl. I came back in and I said, we have a daughter.
And I said, a daughter?
Yes, we have a daughter. And she was stunningly beautiful. And then
I heard her cry and it made me smile so big.
They take me around. Now I go around the sheet so I can do all of the stuff that you do when a baby's born. You know, they wrap her up and they footprint her and they do all these things. But it is so sterile because you're not part of the birthing process. And so there's all of a sudden there's not a baby and now there's a baby. And it is definitely a cold process. The main thing is that the baby's alive. But it is very hard, that bonding thing.
Tell him why the baby was having such a hard time.
Oh, so the reason that the baby's heart rate dropped is that her cord was wrapped around her neck twice. And every time she would decel
she sure is awake.
To come out, she would get strangled. And they say it's pretty common, but this, I guess the way she was turned this time and the way she was wrapped this time was pretty severe. So Crystal couldn't dilate because of the amount of tension around the baby's neck. So, go back, I see the baby, we do all this stuff. I bond with her a little bit. Then all of a sudden they bring the baby around and they set her on her neck. She's laying upside down. They're like, oh, here's your baby. And
so
there's like a baby on her neck. And she's like, oh, can somebody please help me?
Because then they let her go.
Yeah.
They just put her on my neck and then they just let her go. And now I'm on medication and I'm shaking. You know, that medication that kind of makes you shake. So I'm like shaking and I'm holding her and I was like, somebody needs to grab her because I'm going to drop her.
Yeah.
And then I hear, grab the baby. Yeah, grab the baby. Why would you put her on my neck like this?
That's bizarre. So they take the baby. And now the next weird part is that now me and the doctor or the nurse and the baby wheel out to go meet her parents. And I'm like, everything's just so strange. Like, you don't picture that this is how it's going to be. Now I'm introducing their granddaughter, not their daughter isn't introducing. I'm introducing their granddaughter to them, which is great. It was a great bonding thing for us. But it's like, everything was like, what is happening now? And then they take us to a recovery room where they're doing tests on the baby. And now for 2 hours, I have zero information about what's happening to my wife. And so they're doing stuff with the baby and they're doing all these tests and whatnot. And then they just give her to me and they walk away. And I'm holding my daughter for the first time. And I'm looking at her and I'm staring at her and I got really emotional. Now, I didn't start to cry. I just got real emotional. Because again, nobody told me what was happening to Crystal, and I said, what if there were complications from surgery? And no one's told me yet. And it's just me and this little girl for the rest of our lives. And I'm raising her, and I have to tell her what happened. That's serious. It's like, it makes you really appreciate life. And then, as I went to go ask what was going on with her, she wheels around and I see her and like that sense of relief came. I don't want it. I want to get out, guys.
Okay.
We're going to have to come back.
So pause. So unpause. Day 2, life happened and we couldn't finish our video yesterday.
Thank you for watching. Maybe this helped you understand a little bit of the reality of what goes on. And what's the moral? What's the main thing? What do we really learn? I mean, for me, I came out of it with a huge lesson that my not even hour-old baby daughter taught me at that point, which was, she wasn't even born yet actually, which was, don't hold so tightly onto your plans. You know, you got to be willing to bend and sway. I think we said that earlier, but you got to be willing to bend and sway because life will always throw curveballs at you, and you got to be willing to kind of go with it, or it's gonna be tough. You know?
Yeah.
So that was a huge lesson that we learned from our little person before she even came into this world.
Agreed. Thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave us a comment down below and let us know how your labor experience went.
Or if you have any questions that...
Or if you have any questions,
like
I'm more than happy to answer.
First-time mom, or I'm scared, or I'm going through like that. I mean, I can't really answer anything about first-time mom. But maybe if there's any dads watching this too, maybe they can ask a question or have as a comment, and maybe I can help with that. Maybe not.
We can try our hardest.
Okay, so thank you.
See you guys next time.
Soon.